Radix sandwich. Can I say fuck?
No way.
I get the shivers whenever I'm thinking about you. Just wanna leave and live without you. Be on my own again. I get the shivers whenever you go out of line, yeah. I feel the creeping down my spine, yeah. Wanna be alone again. See your face, I can feel it coming back. These shivers are every day. Whoa, I say it's over, I get out of bed and leave, yeah. Just like that, I got the shivers whenever I would think about you. Now that I left, I live without you. I'm on my own again. I got the shivers whenever you went out of line, yeah. Now it's like everything is fine, yeah. Yeah, I'm on my way home. I'm no good for you, so I drive around Manhattan. They're all laughing, oh, I'm tragic. Yeah, I'm driving in my car and seeing open, but I can't go down that road again. I'll smoke a cigarette, but will that help me forget you? Will that help me forget you? I just need to forget you, oh you. I need to treat you better than that, and make you feel like I did in the past. Oh, I will treat you better than that. I don't need to forget you. I need to treat you better than that, and make you feel like I did in
We're on. How's it going, guys? Oh no, we've got some audio issues. I can't hear you guys.
Sorry,
Just
we
kidding.
muted the
Just
microphone.
There
we we muted it because we were dancing to the music.
we go. Awesome. Alright, so I guess
Make
starting
sure I
off, we should kind of, get to know you guys a bit better. So we got a few US guys as well. So I'm Reese from Phaser FPV. We're based in Australia. We're kind of 1 hour north of Sydney. Small FPV shop compared to kind of some of the big guys in the US. To give you an idea, US is kind of like 25 times the size of the market here. So we're pretty small, but everyone kind of in Australia knows us. And if you're in Australia, I guess you guys may know Jenny and Martin. Jenny uses all caps in most comments and lots of GIFs. So most people would know her from her GIFs and that chat. But I mean, how did you guys get into FPV to begin with? Like, is it your third or fourth flight controller?
Oh my god.
I think this is I think fourth. Like, well, so I got into it. I was always into RC, like as a kid, like long time ago, and then I got back into it when like helicopters, like RC helicopters, when I was like in my 20s, because suddenly it became cheap, and then quadcopters started becoming more popular. I started flying quads, and back then is like the NACE 32 and CC3D. Sorry, someone was pulling on my chair. Yeah, NACE 32 and CC3D and stuff are popular, and I just wanted a flight controller with integrated OSD, so we designed the original Brain flight controller that was like back in 2013, 2014, almost 6 years ago.
In our bedroom.
In our bedroom.
We lived in this tiny little like box apartment in Boston, and so like our bedroom was our office, and
yeah, and it was actually it had an OSD, like it was the first 30 by 30 flight controller with an OSD, and it was graphical on Net 4. And that was at a time when like the NACE 32 was available. And then we kind of like went from there. We made the RE1 a few years later, I think in 2016. Then a year or two later, we had the original Radix about 3 years ago. And now the Radix 2. Well, in between, we made a Radix Li, which is the 20 by 20 version of the Radix, basically. It runs the same firmware, has pretty much the same features as the Radix. It's just smaller. And now we made the bigger one, the Radix 2.
Nice.
you're not.
Yeah, I guess I came into the industry in 2014, so NASEs were kind of just being phased out and the F3s were starting to come in. And I guess I didn't know of you guys until you brought out the Radix. So you guys have actually been in the industry, since kind of the beginning. Well, somewhat, yeah. And so I guess the Radix 2, you've gone for the H7 processor. The H7, is it kind of similar across the board? So I know Maytech has two H7s, Flight 1 has a H7. Is it the same chip? Is it the same kind of... I mean, Flight 1 has saying 500 megahertz, your one saying 480, kind of... where's the differences come in?
So it's the same chip that Flight 1 uses. I think that the first person to use this chip was actually Dominic Clifton, Clean Flight. He wrote most of the code for Clean Flight and Betaflight. So it's the same chip, the H750. And I think, I'm not sure exactly about the Maytech products. I know they have some H7 stuff. I think the difference maybe, there's more expensive H7s that have more flash space. This one actually doesn't have a lot of flash. So unlike if you look at other Betaflight flight controllers, most of them, they have like half a megabyte or a megabyte of flash. The F7s have half a megabyte. And also the Radix, the original Radix has half a megabyte of flash. So the flash is basically like the hard drive where the coder is stored and runs from. Whereas this H7 actually, what it had, it only has small flash, like 128 kilobytes. and then it has 1 megabyte of RAM. So you can use the RAM for both the code and the data. So basically Betaflight gets loaded into RAM and it runs from RAM instead of Flash. And for that, you have to basically write a custom bootloader. So that's one of the features of the Radix tool. It has a special bootloader that loads Betaflight into RAM before it runs it.
Yeah, and is that how kind of the driverless flashing works? Is that kind of part of it?
Exactly. When you connect it, it has a little... one of the differences to the Radix actually has a boot button. So if you press the boot button and you connect to your computer, it will just show up as an external drive. And you just copy the file to it. And then when you disconnect the drive, it will just boot it.
Yeah, it makes flashing so easy.
I think that's going to be a bit of a game changer because, this is probably the 4th phone call I've had. I had one this week where a customer had a brand new Tiny Hawk 2 and they, their son had gone into Betaflight, turned off MSP, and so he had to kind of reflash it. And, he's there pushing the button and saying, oh, it's not coming up into DFU. And I'm like, well, honestly, you're probably not pushing the boot button. And so, we got on a video call and TeamViewer, and I was like, yep, that's the bind button. You're going to need to, pull off the canopy and get to that boot button. So this makes it heaps easier. Push that button, plug in, and then you drop your Betaflight firmware in there, and you can flash it that way, yeah? So
exactly.
DFU flashing, yeah.
Yeah, so it stores the firmware file in the external flash chip that's also used for black box logging. So there's a 32 megabyte flash chip. That's the first 2 megabytes are used for firmware, and we're storing that, and then the other 30 megabytes you can use for logging.
Yeah,
and also the Betaflight settings are stored in there as well, but that's very little space.
And how long can you log with 30 meg? Like pretty much
a few minutes. It depends how fast you log. Like a few minutes, not very long. Like it's definitely not. You can't like long range and log the whole flight at 3K. But for tuning, it's enough.
Yep. And we'll get on to the nitty gritty of what most people are going to ask, and I can already see them in the comments. You've chosen 30 by 30. So, most FCs and most races are switching to 20 by 20 now. Is there a 20 by 20 coming? What was kind of your thought process in that? Why didn't you guys just make a 20 by 20?
So, we were gearing this towards the cinematic pilots, X8, X-Class, just like with, who are doing larger film productions. And this one has 8 outputs and 6 UARTs, 2 camera input, and a bunch of other things. It's just like it's geared towards like the heavy lifting, really expensive cinematic drones for now, and then like a 20 by 20 will be coming next as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Basically, we wanted to add all the features to this one, and then we make
like
a 20 by 20 that doesn't have all the features.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think the 20 by 20 will have 8 outputs as well? Is it possible to even fit it on?
I mean, the problem is you can fit it on. The problem is like to make it also somewhat user-friendly, right? Like I'm not a big fan personally of flight controllers that have the pads like super close together. Because like a lot of people will ruin it by soldering. Like soldering is not that easy on some flight controllers. So we always try to kind of make it as easy as possible to use when you actually solder it.
Yeah, the layout. Yeah. It just gets more and more beautiful with time. It's amazing, comparing the first flight controller to this one. It's beautiful. True. It's a work of art.
Yeah, no, that is exciting. Are you guys? I'll just flick to a picture of it so everyone can kind of see it on the screen. Are you guys manually putting all these stickers on as you do each one, or have you got the manufacturer doing that for you?
No, it comes with stickers.
Should I just
Okay, so I have to put them on myself?
Yeah, she can actually do
So I can just like show you guys what comes inside. Okay, so like our other flight controllers, it comes with a sticker sheet, and these have the stickers that you can. I don't know if this is zooming in, but anyways, you guys know the drill. And so yeah, these stickers go over the chip, and then I also added a few more stickers for the connectors as well. So you can't see shit here, but if you look at
you
can see it on the fucking photo. So yes, so we've like labeled the connectors, and then it comes with a little like warning card. To make sure that you don't fuck shit up. And, sorry, my best friend is calling. And, do you want to talk about, like, these things, the warnings?
I mean, we can talk about the warning cards. But
what about,
before
we get into that, the other big question is full power. Do we have to run 5 volt into this? Or can we run
so it actually has a 5 volt regulator. Only up to 8S actually. So that's actually one of the things. Yeah, so it has a 5 volt regulator, 1.5 amp output, and so there's basically, this is a bit complicated, but yeah, you can use it with any 4-in-1 ESC where you just power it from the main battery. But if, for example, if you
can even use 2 4-in-1 ESCs.
Yes, you could use 2 4-in-1s. But if you, for example, have an X-class rig where you use a 12S battery, what you can do is actually basically connect the battery voltage to the flight controller, the VBAT pin here, like in the video. Like pointed to it from a mouse, but of course no one can see that.
It's behind my head.
But so you can connect at 1 voltage just for voltage sensing, and that actually supports up to 12S. And then a secondary voltage to power it. So you could, for example, have 12 volts to power the flight controller and the VTX that's connected to it, and up to 12S to just measure the battery voltage of the main battery. So that's a new option. Yeah, it's similar to the Radix where you had 5 volts and always VBAT for just measuring. So you can have still kind of that option, but instead of 5 volts, it can be any voltage up to 8S.
Yeah, so the VBAT pin is used for both powering and voltage measurement. Yes. So if you bridge the jumper.
There's a jumper on the bottom that you can bridge, so then VBAT powers the flight controller as well.
And we have, of course, documentation for that. So
where's that jumper? I'll point to it.
That's on the bottom.
Back. It's on the bottom.
Okay. Not sure we got a picture here.
I think if you if you go to the shop site, click on
order now. I know we have we really complicated things. We like just put this together. We just.
Sorry. So if you click on the second gallery image on the back one, that one.
Yeah, no, scrolling.
There's a jumper. There's the
behind
jumper.
my head.
They're on the right side.
Oh yeah, no.
You can see it.
Here somewhere.
No, the bottom.
Go down more.
Go down there. No, to the right.
To the right.
Oh,
to the left.
To the other side.
Up. Right. Right.
Yeah, there.
Keep going.
You see these pads?
Yeah. Are these ones here?
Yay!
Yeah, so the top one is to select. The top one is to power it from VBAT. If you bridge that, then the power pin gets connected to VBAT. And the other two are you can select. It has a pit switch built in too, so you can have either power the VTX from the battery voltage, or 5 volts.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, this one also has the spectrograph tuning. Yes.
Yes.
Nice. So, in terms of specs, let me go back to the other page. So we have a new. So everyone kind of knows the Brain as having a Bosch gyro, which is quite different to most of the other FCs on the market. So we're going for a new Bosch gyro. What's kind of the new features in this one? What can we look forward to?
Actually, so it is similar. It runs at 3.2K natively. It can run at 6.4K, but we have not yet basically then it disables a bunch of internal filters, and it would be interesting to see if that improves the flight control or the flight performance a lot. Probably not. So that's one of the things, and otherwise it's very similar to the BMI 160. It's just a successor product with some minor improvements. It's not like it seems
nothing game changing, but just kind of a newer.
It's a newer version. It flies comparable. Like, I don't think I could tell if I did a blind test with a BMI 160 and a BMI 270 which one is which. Like, for me, it flies pretty much the same.
Yep. I'm sure there are,
but I'm not the best
the reviewers to do the actual comparison, like the analyses. What's the guy's name? I forgot.
Tech.
Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
He does. He likes to collect
data. He likes to do the comparisons.
I mean, of course, we have done testing and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. What about the barometer as well? Any kind of changes with that?
Yeah, I mean, the sensitivity, the resolution is better, or like the accuracy, so you can, Betaflight doesn't really support the altitude hold, but for that it should be better than the BMP 280 that we were using. Our dog is freaking out. Yeah, so for that it should be better because you can literally see when you move the flight control when you move it like up like 10 centimeters, you can pretty much see that on the altitude change.
That's pretty accurate,
it's quite a bit better.
Any other kind of features you want to talk about?
What's neat? The pit switch is neat. Of course, it's kind of standard, but actually one neat feature about the pit switch is it has an internal fuse. So if you accidentally short the pit switch output and you put it on VBAT, like on a lot of other flight controllers, if you do that and then you turn on the VTX, it will just fry the flight controller. There's a lot of current. But with this one, it actually nothing happens. There's a very fast fuse that just turns off the output if it's shorted. So there's I think it's 1.2 amps. So if you draw more than 1.2 amps from the VTX output for the power, then it just turns it off.
That is cool. And you went USB-C connector?
Yeah. It's a much nicer connector than the micro USB. Hopefully it won't. Like, every now and then some people have problem with the Radix when the connectors wear out, or the connector on the flight controller or on a cable wears out. It just doesn't connect reliably. So I think with USB-C that's quite a bit better.
Yep. And without using the PDB, it's fine with DJI.
Yeah, well, it's not. So we are also planning to make an HD version of it that will be plug and play with HD systems and won't have the graphical OSD and so on.
Okay.
It doesn't have like a voltage regulator for the DJI system, right? It only takes up to 4S. So if you use the DJI system, if you use up to 4S, you could be fine. But if you use need a secondary voltage regulator to power it. Otherwise, yes, you can use it with the DJI system. Like the Radix, like the DJI system, you only need to connect the UART to it.
Somebody bought us alcohol.
Oh.
I have no idea who or what, but we just got a shit ton of alcohol delivered.
Maybe someone in the stream has sent you some.
That's awesome.
I have no idea.
That's so random.
I assume it was.
And actually, the best feature
my
is
dad or from some friends. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Let's just talk.
Let's talk about alcohol.
We're healthy humans. Oh my god. It's fine. Hi.
Yep.
All right.
Go on, Martin.
No,
your favorite
the most
feature.
important feature is you can now change the color of the LED.
Oh, okay.
It's all about the
here
bling.
it is here. There you go. RGB status LED with customizable color.
So since the first flight controller, you've always had been into the art, the LEDs, the changeable, customizable colors.
It's always nice to have.
It's always been a thing for us.
And then of course we have the PB as well. Have you seen that?
It's just really heavy.
It's 15 grams, I think.
With 2 C's.
So it's similar to. It looks a bit nicer than the original Radix PV. It's similar. It has a voltage regulator on it, and actually that voltage regulator by default it's 5 volt, but you can switch it to 10 volts. So if you have an HD system, you can use that to power it.
Mm-hmm. And the OSD, what's kind of new in that? It's same kind of graphical OSD, but some added features?
It is the same OSD. It looks very similar. There is we're gonna improve some of the layout or some of the how it looks. So
there's higher resolution.
No, there's not higher resolution. It's higher resolution in terms of.
Hey, we can just say that, and people will be looking in their goggles, going, "Oh, I can see
it." But it has like the Radix OSD can only do basically black and white.
This one transparent.
And transparent, yeah. That's when and the OSD is not visible; it's transparent. Whereas this one can do black and white and transparent, and can also do like gray levels and some semi-transparent black and white. So we can improve the look of some of the OSD elements a bit, but we have been too busy with getting everything ready.
Yeah,
to really
it'll happen within the next few days. We're still. You were like literally the first person.
Not before Christmas. It's not gonna happen before Christmas. But
okay, it'll happen maybe
it's gonna
by the
happen
time everybody
soon.
gets their boards in the mail.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I have to also have.
It may be our Christmas present. Who knows?
It's coming.
We can improve the software. So
we are like, we've been hustling to get this out. You're the first person we've talked to. We literally just released it minutes before we started this stream.
Yeah, I was expecting to wake up because it's 8 a.m. here and see kind of lots of posts about it, but you held off.
Yeah. Well,
it's you have
to get your order ready.
Just we have like hundreds of.
Then I have to go up to drive to the airport later and drop it off.
Yeah, okay, so just so everyone knows, our dealers have already ordered and their packages will be in the mail today. And you can also order from us, but we definitely recommend supporting your local hobby shops. And they sold out really, really fast.
You just don't want to pack lots of individual orders. I know what's happening.
No. I pack them all. I still pack them all my fucking self. Sorry. But I feel like it's always good to support you guys because we wouldn't be successful without you. So, it's an ecosystem. We need each other. And
so what dealers in the US will have your stock?
Let me see. Pyro has ordered. RDQ. I don't know. I actually have to check.
I get that. I was supposed to print that list.
Let me see.
Alright, so all the major ones.
Not everybody.
Not all the major ones. Some of them are
got
too
to order.
slow.
So they'll have to wait until.
In the US, we have. Well, you were the first to order, Reese. That's very nice.
I made sure to tell him he's my buddy.
And then we have Defiance RC. They're in Alabama. FPV Atlanta, FPATL, RDQ, Addictive RC. Then actually, that's not the US. Drone Factory in Switzerland will have it. Then of course Pyro Drone. In Canada, we have Airblade UAV, Rotor Village. Then Team Legit in California will have it.
Our buddies, what?
Then next FPV in Australia will also have it. Sorry, Reese.
That's fine.
Unmanned Tech in the UK has it. TBS in Hong Kong. And
that's it.
I don't know how that happened.
And Newbie Drone.
Cool.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I remember talking to you, Jenny, 9 to 10 months ago about, it was in the works. Did the pandemic kind of slow you down a bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little? Are we talking like 4 months of delays or?
we could have.
No,
We could have
actually,
released it like if we really hustled back in May. Like our testers had it
yeah, we did
in May and June.
not May. We actually, our testers have been flying it for like 3 months. So that's actually in the end a really good thing because none of them had serious issues with it. So we knew the hardware was solid, and then it took us quite a while to get the bootloader ready, to make that sure, because it's kind of scary if you screw it up. And the whole testing, we built a whole new automated test system for it. That took a long time. Yeah, the pandemics definitely didn't help.
The pandemic and like the riots and like I don't know if you guys like Google Portland, Oregon, like riots, that shit is still going on.
So
which
still
is
every day, like.
they're less so now. I think that it's winter here, so it's raining and cold and but yeah. Just like we got social justice warriors and we got and then we had forest fires, so we were stuck inside for like 2 weeks. The air quality was so bad. It was like cancerous. We literally duct taped our windows shut. So yeah, we have gas masks.
To me, I'm getting this picture over there of like kind of the I Am Legend film. Like, is that kind of, you've been cooped up inside for 3 months? Is that kind of how it's been, or?
It's been like more like 9 months, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I mean, here at Portland is, people here take it pretty seriously, like the coronavirus, I think. So most people are pretty good at social distancing and stuff. But yeah, at the moment, everything is shut down, like restaurants. There's only takeout. There's no outdoor dining even, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shopping is all online.
We had to give you an idea here, we had a few weeks where it was kind of locked down a bit, but then after that it kind of settled down. And then for the last, 4 months, it's kind of been normal. And now, just recently, we've had like a little outbreak in Sydney, so everyone's kind of hunkering down a little bit. But yeah, nothing like what we've been.
Yeah, we actually had neighbors from Australia, and they moved back.
Yeah.
Right in the summer.
God, I felt so bad for them. They moved here right at the beginning of the pandemic, and he's like the head of Adidas skateboarding marketing or whatever. And anyways, like they moved here, they had a kid, and then within just like 3 months or so, the pandemic got so bad. Oh no, it was they moved right when we couldn't go outside because of the air quality.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I need to get the fuck out. Like, we're moving back home. Like, this isn't okay. It's like Portland's so beautiful, and it's like the Pacific Northwest, and there's like trees and forests and the coast and desert, and so it's just like this magical place. But then, for some reason, it just became the epicenter of like I don't know, clusterfuck, like U.S. like everything. I don't know. I just felt like. I have no idea why it's been in the headlines for so long, but yeah, It's kind of fun.
So I'm just reading through some of the comments on the Facebook group.
Oh yeah, cool.
We missed one question. How many UARTs? It's a very important question for a lot of people.
6 UARTs.
6 UARTs.
And it has I2C to it.
Mm-hmm. And USB-C.
Mm-hmm.
And USB-C. Yes.
People in watching this video, do you have any questions? Chuck them in the chat because I'm reading. We haven't really had any yet. Only 20 by 20 questions. Not many others.
Yeah, so, I mean,
20 by 20. What time frame are we looking at?
I'm not sure yet. Probably not too fast. Probably they come out with the HD version, the 30 by 30 first. Mm-hmm. 20 by 20s.
So ETA for HD board, we're looking at 3 months?
Probably, yeah. And then the 20 by 20 maybe closer to summer or something. Mm-hmm. Like we don't want to rush it
PC free setup, eventually.
Have you considered making an ESC?
Not really, because just the economics of making ESCs is not really very attractive.
It just sucks. Like, think about like all the FETs that you need to order, and like oftentimes they're out of stock, and the like it's just a shit show. And in terms of like competing with other companies in China that make them, there's just no way we'd be able to compete, and it's just no.
Yeah, the market is pretty saturated, and well, one issue with ESCs is it's very difficult to, the DLL32 is closed source, so you can't really differentiate in terms of firmware unless we write our own, and that's a pretty major undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point in the future, but at the moment we're not focusing on ESCs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we stick to what we're good at, flight controllers, and I think the Radix has been really reliable. It's been out for 2.5 years or so, and we test our products like a million trillion times, and we make sure that there are no revisions between batches. So this flight controller, is it's just it's pretty beautiful. We're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, we made a lot of prototypes. I think there is probably 5 prototype revisions that we made before it was final. So that's one of the reasons it took a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about kind of your testing jig? So you mentioned that you had to, that takes a while to make, to kind of test all the FCs you get in. Like, what kind of what's the process, and kind of what gets tested on each of these FCs?
So can I do it?
Well, yeah, sure.
Oh, like on this new flight controller, or just in general? Well, okay. So for the old flight controllers, we tested one at a time, and it was such a pain in the ass, especially for the Radix Lee. And it was it took like about 5 minutes per flight controller, and so we did all of them ourselves, and it just goes through everything from like checking the voltage and the amperage and the OSD, and it flashes Betaflight, and so we definitely go through all of them. And then we bag everything. We put all of these little dudes in the bag and the stickers, and then sometimes people get these things, these little dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while. It has taken a while. So now Martin has built a rig that can test more at the same time, more than one, and it's pretty badass and awesome, and I love it. And we've tested like 500 in the last 2 days.
So how long does it take to test one now?
Per flight controller, it takes like a minute or so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you just kind of connect it all up and hit a button and it goes pass or fail, or has it?
Yeah, exactly.
It goes through
it does a bunch of tests. It tests pretty much all the pins to make sure they're not shorted and stuff. Tests like the gyro and the parameter, and
this one also
OSD.
Takes a picture.
It actually tests the OSD. Before we had to always manually confirm that the OSD was working by just looking at the screen, and now the computer captures an image and analyzes it to make sure the OSD is working.
It's pretty fucking sexy. I'm very proud of Martin for this.
But
so if a customer calls me up and says, "Mate, I just plugged this in via USB-C and a puff of smoke happened, right? Give me warranty." I can be assured that I'm like, "Nah, mate, it's your issue."
I mean that.
In terms of just oh no, there's not this component fell off. We'll be like, yeah, okay,
I mean, it can happen.
Did you crash? Did you crash into a wall? Because that's the only way a component would have fallen off. And so we take now pictures of the board as well and save that. So we know what the boards looked like before we sent them out. So everything.
So you're saying you have a picture of every single board that's going out?
Yeah.
And what we can look up serial numbers.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, just say, "What's your serial number, mate?" I think you knocked that one off. Sorry.
Yep.
I mean, but it can happen, right? If you have had like, you never know, it could be happening shipping or something, like, it's possible that someone stepped on the bag even it was like after we shipped.
Yeah.
Or
In this industry, I've seen everything happen. It's amazing.
Yeah.
In the mail, it's amazing. Like I feel like somebody like should like write a blog or something, or like a book, and just like
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
even, we have all filming of packaging, so, we can look up any order and see, a video of it being packed. And I think one time, you can get, someone opens the door and there's a big gust of wind and something, floats across, and you're like, okay, well, that's why it was missed. They put it all there, and, something like that can happen. So, anything can happen.
So like for us, we have 2 cats, but one of them is very she very much enjoys helping us with our work, and so yeah, it is very possible to get a few cat hairs, but they're magical cat hairs, so it'll just help you fly better. It's fine. I mean, shit, like we run our own company. It's fine. Like, I don't know.
We've got a couple of other questions here. So, a couple of people are asking, any plans in the works for a new wing board?
Yeah, probably, but INAF is not yet supported. Doesn't support yet H7, so we have to first figure that part out.
Okay, waiting on that support before you kind of push on with it.
Yeah.
Yep. And the Radix V1, are you gonna continue to sell them, or you just kind of have you sold out internally?
They're done.
No, we still have them in stock.
Do we?
Yeah. Yeah, we still have some in stock. We're gonna sell them out. We probably discount them at some point. But
okay, yeah, so once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is the replace. This is the successor of the Radix, so it wouldn't make sense to make both, because I think the target application is very similar.
But we still will have the Radix Lee, the 20 by 20.
We'll have the 20 by 20 until we have another 20 by 20
as well.
Yep. So sell out all my stock in the next 9 months of the Lee. Got it. I had another question. Mind blank. Did you guys want to... I'm not sure if you want to talk about it, but kind of making an FC, talking to the manufacturers in China, like, it would be good to get some kind of insight in kind of, issues you have, because, when I talk to a customer about, someone buying a $20 flight controller and, they buy the Brain, I'm like, well, they get components out of a bin that it may be used, and, they're sticking them on and recycling components and kind of... Yeah. Can you give us some insight into kind of, manufacturing and kind of getting to this FC?
So
the majority of flight controllers on the market actually are designed by one single company. And that's like a generalization, but I'd say like 85% to 90% of flight controllers on the market are Airbot?
Yeah, they use it, but
I think
when it comes to manufacturing, it's a part of it is like, yeah, we have been working with the same company. So this one is made in China. We are looking to move manufacturing back to the US for the next generation, or for future products, or maybe for this one once we have lined up manufacturing here. But yeah, we have been working with those guys for like more than 5 years, the same company, and it's not the cheapest company, but they're pretty good. So I think it comes down to a relationship and price. Like if you go for the cheapest place in China, or if someone wants to screw you, you may be unlucky. But in general,
so it's all about the design as well, right? So I mean, I think that like a big like selling point is that you know what you're doing, that you are a PhD in electrical engineering, and so like sending the schematics and the design, you kind of know how to lay things out, what should not go next to each other, And we often see these mistakes on other flight controllers that, it's obvious that some people who sell flight controllers don't actually make them themselves. You know, they just like call up a Chinese company and they're like, okay, here's what I want. I want an F4. I want, you know, this, I want that. I want like all in one. I want to like just throw every fucking thing on the board. And, you know.
Can you give an example of kind of, you know, oh, you shouldn't put this component next to that component because it causes this? Have you got an example?
For example, the 5-volt regulator, you want to keep it far away from the gyro typically, because the 5-volt regulator generates noise and also gets pretty warm, which both are bad for the gyro. Another example is you don't want to put capacitors really close to them. Well, actually, with the grommets that the flight controllers now use, it's not such a big issue anymore. But like with for example, the RE1 that we had a few years ago didn't have the grommets. So, and if you put these ceramic capacitors pretty close to the mounting point or to the holes, then mechanical stress of the circuit board can crack the capacitors. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you, for example, see PDBs that have the capacitors really close to the battery connection where the battery wires attach. And if you crash and it yanks on the battery, then the circuit board flexes. Those capacitors will crack, and it may still work, but then moisture will get into the capacitor later on, and then they will short out and blow up. Same on ESCs. That's why they usually blow up, is because, you know, they short out internally because they're basically ceramic and the two voltages are really close together, and if there's a crack and if there's moisture, then you will get a short.
Well, and then people like falsely rate their components.
Of course, that's always
you see that a lot. And they just put, you know, like their pads super, super close together, so it's really difficult to solder. If you get like solder, you know, a little bit off, then you're bridging shit together and things freak out. And I mean, we've seen, you know, and I think that's, you know, one of the biggest reasons as to why you kind of wanted to make your own is just, you know, what was on the market just wasn't up to your standards, and you're like, I can just make a new one. But we're very like low risk company in terms of like when we order like prototypes, we spend, you know, it's ridiculously expensive to order like 20 prototypes from our manufacturer, right? So like but we will spend the money. Our first batch is always a lot smaller, just to make double, like triple sure that everything, you know, is working right, and that the manufacturer didn't fuck up, because it's so easy, just like one little component. It's like, oh yeah, you washed that, cool, like now the barometer, the gyro, whatever. So some things are really sensitive and you have to double check. But yeah, like recently, I mean, for the Radix, I think we had like a really, really low error rate. So like in testing the QC, it was pretty like getting them back. But we do, you know, we collect all that data. But yeah, I think like compared to other companies, we have our boards are extremely reliable.
We've definitely seen that at our stores, so I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't we use expensive components compared to some of the other, you know, like for example, that's another thing, like voltage regulators and stuff. You can use, there's very, very cheap voltage regulators that you can find in China with questionable, well, some of them may be good, but it can be hard to know. So we try to use quality components that we test, and
how did you?
They're maybe a bit more expensive.
And some are mixed as well, I guess. So like if you're buying a cheap regulator, you might have one that's, you know, A+, and then one that's just crap.
Yeah, I mean, one issue is that, for example, you can get, there's like, you know, in electronics, there's standard packages, right? Like if you use a voltage regulator that's in a standard package, then there is the chance that there is maybe another voltage regulator that looks similar or has the same pinout on that package and is cheaper. So that's one of the things that some Chinese companies will do, is they see, oh, this voltage regulator, we can just replace it with a cheaper one and charge the full price of the other one. But if you use like packages that are not standard, usually means like smaller packages and so on, then it's not easy usually to replace. Like the Chinese manufacturer will not just find another voltage regulator in the same package. So they basically have to use what you specify because there's no other options on the market that would fit on the board. So that's one little trick you can do, but yeah.
Yeah, you just don't, we just don't take any risks when it comes to quality of things, and so you kind of get what you pay for with us. It's not the cheapest flight controller on the market, but we've never been interested in entering that race to the bottom. We're not interested in competing as much on price as we are on quality. And yeah, people know.
Yeah, people work it out.
Yeah, we got street cred now. People know. Yeah.
Took only 5 years, 6 years.
Betaflight 4.3. We got a question in the chat.
It's not. Is that out? No. I don't think that's available yet. I mean, people always ask stuff like that, but then I go to Betaflight and it's actually not out.
So, do you want to explain to people how why our flight controller is different and doesn't all the
it's up
latest?
To 4.25.
Yeah, so it's 4.25 at the moment. So we have our own fork of Betaflight because of the graphical OSD and stuff. So it's always a few days or a week or so behind normal Betaflight. And once they come out at 4.3, usually when the release candidates come out, then we will have a version for it as well.
So we also test it before we fucking release it because but come on, you never so many people just
What's kind of the process? So, 4.3 RC drops, Martin downloads it, flashes it, and what goes for a fly?
Well, we have to make sure that it still works, in terms of we have to basically merge together the code from Betaflight into our Betaflight version, and
our Betaflight version is different, because we
that
use
stuff still works,
different hardware, real-time operating system. So. Yeah, we make sure that nothing breaks.
Yeah, and it still works.
And it still works, and then we go fly.
And then we have usually then sometimes there are small bugs, so we have an unstable version for a little bit and get feedback and then fix problems. But usually there's not too many things to fix.
Right.
So mostly it's trying to fix the bugs that from the changes, migrating it to your own kind of hardware and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not, you're not kind of looking for Betaflight.
No.
This should.
Well, every now and then we find problems. But actually, for this one, we found an interesting problem. Basically, there was if you use, I guess not too many people use RPM filtering with an octocopter, but there was some timing or we optimized some of the interrupt routines that handle the ESC, basically, right? The ESC, the flight controller will send the D-shot packet to the ESC and then switch direction. So there is an interrupt, a very short function that runs after each motor output sends the D-shot command or the D-shot packet, and we had to optimize that so it runs a bit faster because with 8 motors, even with an H7, sometimes you would get RPM filter errors because basically the processing was delayed too much by other stuff.
Okay. Do you have many people flying over there with 8 motors?
We have a few. So actually, we have been working with Catalyst. So they released this crazy Catalyst Machine Works in Texas. Released this crazy. I don't know if you've seen it. It's basically like an X-class rig with 8 motors that can carry a RED or a professional cinema camera.
Yep.
And they have actually been using the Radix for it. There's a version of the Radix where UART4 becomes output 7 and 8, and they have been using the Radix 2 as well on it.
Okay.
So they use an 8, and then there's a few I think Shen drones came out with an octo that basically uses 2 4-in-1 ESCs, so you can use it for that. So there's quite a few on the market. Because, you can carry heavier loads, and I guess losing a motor is not necessarily depends. Yeah, you probably
Can you lose one motor with 8 and still fly, or is it still be?
It depends on the firmware. You can DJI and stuff definitely can. You can actually there's ways you can.
It just flies for you. It's the best flight controller on the market.
I'm actually not sure what happens in Betaflight. It's a firmware question. it's definitely possible, right? You can fly with 7 motors, but it has to compensate for it. I would assume it probably is fine if you have a like the PID loop will take care of it to some degree.
It's probably very confused.
It'd be interesting to actually see what happens. I've not tried it. I know that like DJI, for example, handles it fine. Like if you have even a hexacopter, right? If you lose one motor, it's not a usage. It doesn't just fall to the ground.
Is that because they have like the camera, like down-facing sensors, the cameras and stuff to like?
No.
They have like altitude hold.
I think that usually the control code has to somehow detect that one motor isn't working. And Betaflight could basically probably do it. They have this like runaway detection where basically it compares kind of the estimate or the expected motion, what the quad should do, what it actually does, and if that is suddenly way off, then it's maybe a motor, and you can try to figure out which motor it is and then compensate for it. I know there's like ways to even have on a quad you can actually lose one motor and then and still fly. Fly. It uses yaw control, so it will like spin, but it doesn't fall down. So there's some stuff like that.
Alright, well, it's been good chatting. We should do a little summary. So people can buy it for, is it 65 US?
Yes.
65 US on your store, or it will be available at the US dealers in a couple of days. Martin's got to drive to DHL and ship them off today. So we should have them in Australia next Monday. So that would be the
28th.
28th for us. 28th.
So I say order. Yeah. So
I think most dealers here will
pre-orders.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
do you know what the UK DHL times are like? When will the European guys get it? A bit later, or?
It's similar. I think 2-3 days. Yeah, they should get it on Monday probably too.
So next week as well.
But again, it's Christmas, so like
stuff may be slower.
And like I don't know. I know that like USPS is just like,
yeah, here it's a bit of a mess.
It's a little bit of a shit show over here, but it's fine.
Yeah, we had one courier that I sent a parcel to, and it took a month. It just arrived yesterday. From here to Sydney. It must have gone to Perth or something, but yeah, there was a couple like that, and we're like, DHL, I can get it from China in 3 days, and it takes a month to get an hour north.
That's
crazy.
Oh my god. Do you know there's a pilot, Walter Kirsch, in Austria or in Germany, and we sent him a package, and he just like never got it, and so I sent him another package, never got it, and like this was
got them all together like 3 months later.
6 months ago, like 6 motherfucking months,
got it, right?
and he finally got it. Yeah, he texted. I know. I was like it was like during the pandemic, so I don't even think I wrote him back because I'm like really bad at writing people back.
I think what happened at the start is all the planes went bye, and so all the freight companies were just like, how are we going to ship this? And I think they just chucked them in sea freight, and so we had some European orders that were taking 4 months, and they were raging at us, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? It's on a boat somewhere.
That's crazy.
It's like the weirdest thing. I mean, also like when your family sends us packages from Switzerland,
but sometimes weird stuff. Actually, we had a package
like
once.
Christmas gift, like
that was hilarious.
February.
Someone in Spain ordered something, and we sent it, and then tracking showed it went to Saudi Arabia, and it was in Saudi Arabia for like a month. Like in the meanwhile, we refunded the guy. Or shipped it again, I don't remember. But then, like after a month in Saudi Arabia, it suddenly started moving and went to Spain.
It's like
I assume someone just put it in the wrong bin or something. And it was super random.
Fiji, Melbourne, just like jet setting around. You're like,
Alright, we better wrap up. I got to get to work.
Right.
5 minutes left.
Pizza party, which I thought was so weird. I was like, wait, you're eating pizza with other humans inside like your office? You go to work?
That's not safe, man.
You don't, like,
yes. We're still open as normal. Hey, yeah. So 24th, we're gonna have Christmas Eve. We'll have all the staff in. We're gonna have a little pizza party. So yeah,
nice.
We'll send you some photos.
Definitely.
We'd be jealous.
Please. Yes. And and you will also put in like a lot of really fun goodies. Like I have a bunch of fun goodies that didn't actually fit. Oh wait, can you see? Like in they were too big, so I'm just gonna send them to the dealers and they can just like have fun. I like oftentimes like the warehouse workers just I always send a bunch of shit and you know, I don't know what to do with them, but everybody kind of knows like that I send weird shit. So yes, please send pictures with weird
We'll do.
Jenny.
Alright, see you everyone. Enjoy your
Bye.
alcohol, Jenny.
Oh, I will. Thank you. Happy Christmas.
You too.
And Happy New Year. And fuck 2020.
See you guys.
See you soon.
Bye, Reese.
Bye.